At this stage, it's come together and it's a smooth dough. So as long as you've got a little bit of a smooth texture on the outside, that's what you're looking for. Just put it out on your bench. So you need a clean work surface here. And what you need to do is put some flour out on the bench, ideally the same flour that you've used to create this dough. Just knead it a little bit more. You don't need to do it too much, but just to get it to make sure that it's a nice smooth dough. And then we're going to divide. Now out of this mixture you'll get 16 tortillas. And the best way to do that is to divide it in half. Divide it in half again and half again until you end up with 16 rounds. And out of those 16 rounds, I won't do them all because I'm sure you can work that out yourself. You're going to turn them all into little balls and just flatten them down like so. And what I want you to do is leave them on a floured surface and then put a tea towel over them for 15 minutes. It says it all in the recipe down there, and this is just to prove it a little bit, to rest it a little bit so that it can just come together and rise a little bit for the next part. Once you've done that, here's some I've prepared earlier, you'll end up with some that look like this, and they will sort of, depending on the oil that you use, they'll yellow a little bit probably, and that's good, and you'll see they'll become a little bit more elastic as well. Don't put them on top of each other. That one has sort of landed up there because I was having a little look at something before, because they can stick together, so make sure that they're all separate, they're in a warm place, and they're covered with a tea towel. Once you've done that, and we'll use all these up afterwards because I know the Admiral's going to love some more tortillas later. Once you've done that, you're ready for the next step. Now, if you don't want to use flours, you can actually just use these as they are. This is how you make tortilla wraps. You need to roll them out. Now, this quantity makes tortillas that are about 16 centimetres wide. So, I mean, you can be all pedantic and you can get a ruler. You can make a little bit of greaseproof paper template and you can roll it all out, or you can just sort of guesstimate, and that's pretty much what I do. The thing with the flours, they can jump out, they can be a little bit difficult to sort of squish in there into the dough. Just be patient and just practice and see what's the best way with you. I've found sometimes chopping the flours up and putting them into the tortilla works really well, and they end up pretty much like these ones, a sort of translucenty thing. Sometimes once they're cooked, they'll come off on the top. I don't really mind, I think it's all part of it. That's how I look at it as well. So, as I said, just experimenting. And what you need to do is you need to heat your pan up. You don't need oil, you don't need fats, nothing like that. You need a dry pan and a very flat base. I've got a stainless steel one over here. Frida's got my lighter. So you're heating that up. Now, again, it's a little bit of a guesstimation at how hot. It's a medium to high heat. You don't want it so hot that these burn, but you don't want it so low that they end up being not cooking at all. I put it on a really high heat and then drop it down to medium. I put it on to about that while I'm getting these ready. What you want to do is grab your flours. I have some here, isn't that funny? You can try and put them in decorative ways if you want to. I'm sure that some of you are so clever that you'll be able to do all this, or you can just push your little petals in. Don't use the petals, which are the little tiny green parts on the back. Just use the petals, just the coloured bits, and make sure you've really thoroughly checked out the identification of all the flowers. And we've gone through all that in this before. You're always better off using things that you've grown yourself and you know that you haven't added any pesticides or anything. You need to flour your rolling pin and roll it out. And as you see, some of the petals jump up, and I just push them back in as I'm doing this. Just forever pushing them back in. Sometimes that's what I feel like, forever pushing them back in. But as you cook them, they sort of work their way into staying. And as I said, you can sort of work out, after you've done the first few, you can work it out. It's about 16 centimetres across. And as round as you can get it, kind of, well, that's a heart there. That's nice, isn't it? So once you've done that, you want to cook it. Lifting it off the surface, This is why you need it really well floured. So lifting it off the surface and then sticking it on your pan. Put it non-flour side down first. And you want to cook it over that heat for about a minute, that's all. And what we're looking at is just bubbling a little bit and just going a little bit brown, that's all. So I'm going to leave it there for a minute and then I can get on to my next one. This one I've prepared earlier and we can start rolling that one out as well. As you can see, when you push them in as well a little bit earlier, the dough seems to grab. So that's another thing that you might want to do, is just set them all up on the side after you've proved them a little bit and sort of dig them in and then begin rolling them out. It really is trial and error with your flours and the things that you do. I find rose petals work incredibly well with this recipe. They seem to really sort of dig in there. These are pansies that I'm demonstrating with at the moment. I probably could have put a bit more flour down there. So that's that one. So what you're going to do after a minute, and you'll see they'll start to sort of slide around a little bit. That's pretty much done. So you're flipping it over. And if you can see, that's just like little bits of brown. Like that's all you want. If you've the store-bought tortillas, you can see that yourself. The little bits of bubbled up brown, that's it. Now on the other side, we've got our precious flours. We only want it to cook for about 30 seconds, that's all. Because it pretty much is cooked through. We're just browning it on the other side. We don't want our flours to burn. So just about 30 seconds, and then we're just pretty much done with that. As long as it's sliding. And as I said, no oil, no fats, nothing, that's it. It's a hot, flat based pan. And then once you've done that, you're done. And there's your flour tortilla. Now these are great. They're very flexible when they're warm. You can freeze them, you can keep them in the fridge, and just to bring them sort of back to life so they're flexible again, you just need to warm them up a bit. So our next one over here, same, just lifting it up, sticking it on the pan, and just leaving it the same thing for about a minute or so. Make sure you check all of your flours to make sure that they are not poisonous. You have to make sure that your identification is 100% right. Speak to the people at your local nursery or horticultural society. Grow things yourself. Do not use flowers from the florist. They're all commercial flowers at florists are all sprayed with things, okay? So just don't use those at all. Even the organic ones, you've got to be a little bit careful. Use things that you've grown yourself. Use things from markets. Nasturtiums are fantastic. Most fruit and veggie markets at the moment produce nasturtiums and pansies and hibiscus, all for the sort of culinary sector of the market, and all of those flowers can be used in this recipe and other ones as well. Another thing that I wanted to show you, and I better just flick my tortilla here. Hang on a second, there we go, there's another one. And this is a really easy one. I'm not doing a Nigella and going to my fridge and getting out my midnight snack. I'm showing you these ice cubes. These are such a cool thing to do, and they're so easy. If you're growing pansies, particularly if you're in Australia, they're all over the place at the moment. These look fantastic. I'm going to put it in my hand so you can have a look at them. I've got roses and pansies in these little things. These are beautiful. So they really make the most delightful ice cubes for kids as well, and they're cordials. They're, as I said, still use, things that you grow yourself to put these in, and then as they melt, they're beautiful in your drinks as well. Not just your cocktails, girls, and your soft drinks and your water as well. So there's tons of things that you can do with flowers in the kitchen. Oh, I better watch out for this tortilla. Hang on a second. I'll be sacked. Okay, there we go. There's tons of things you can do with flowers in your kitchen. This, obviously, is just a sort of edited way. It's of using flour tortillas. So these are real flour tortillas. Have a look at the things that you're using at the moment and see how you might be able to incorporate flowers into the things in your favourite recipes as well. I would love to see them, and let's share. Let's see how we can come up with these things. Happy blessings, happy cooking. See you next week. Bye.